Here to talk today about the current state of affairs and what's going on in the United States. When I think about the problems that arise and the things that happen, I like to think about, let's try to solve the problem on the level at which it exists. So the only thing that I feel that I can do that's in my power is, one, I can share information, which I'm doing right here. And number two is, I'm very in control of my own actions, my own behaviors. And if I internalize what's going on and I think about the evil and the atrocities that are out there, I can pinpoint them back to there being a lack of knowledge. And not only of lack of knowledge, but in addition to that, people thinking that they have knowledge and no longer need to improve upon it is another fallacy that people are walking around with in their brain. But I cannot control what other people do. I can encourage people to do certain things. I do have some influence, probably, but not a lot. But I have a lot of influence over myself, over what I do. So in recognizing what happened with this George Floyd situation, and seeing what has happened across America, it has left me to believe that all I can do is go inward and work on and think about some ideas and concepts of how I can be a better person. What are things I can do to contribute? Can I be nicer to people? Can I smile a little bit more? That's free. Can I be encouraging to people a little bit more? Somebody tells me about a new diet that they're doing, rather than me slamming it and saying, oh my God, I can't believe you're trying that bullshit vegan diet. Instead, I say, hey, congratulations. I hope you found something that's making you happy. I hope it leads to the results that you're looking for. When I'm driving on the freeway and I'm in a rush to get to the place that I need to get to, can I give somebody one of these? Free, costs you nothing. You might think it costs you some time because you let someone get ahead of you, but we're talking about fractions of a second. These acts of kindness are really important to keep in mind, and they're really important to practice. I've noticed for myself that in my day-to-day, when I'm trying to progress each day, when I'm trying to become a better person, when I'm trying to make more money, trying to do better in business, trying to do better with relationships, trying to improve my sleep, trying to improve my lifts, trying to improve my health, trying to be jacked, trying to be tan. When I'm trying all these different things, I've noticed that I get shifted into a warp zone and I move faster forward, faster than I ever thought was even possible when I help out other people. When I reach out a hand and I assist other people and I help other people. That's the only thing that I can think about at this time, is to be kind to other people. The simple stuff. Smiling at the first couple people that you see every morning. Maybe smiling at everybody all day if you can handle that. That would be magnificent, right? Hold the door open for people. Be more courteous. Be more kind to each other in the best possible way that you can. I can't control someone going and burning down a building. And I can't control a police officer murdering somebody. I don't have any control over that. I'm not sure how to go about doing that. But I do know that I can continually work on improving myself, making myself better, that I'll have enough room and enough time to extend my hand to our fellow Americans and assist them through some tough times. And if I can do that, hopefully I'm an example to the next person. And hopefully somebody says, that's a pretty good idea. Maybe I can act the same way. Maybe I can act in a similar fashion. I want to point out the fact that's very obvious here as well. I am not a perfect person. I have had many sins in my life. I am not proud of every single thing that I've done. I have made racial jokes. I have probably taken them too far. I can admit it. I can also admit that I was born into a family of a lot of love. I was born into a beautiful home with a lot of love. But did I hear racial slurs? Did I hear things that were inappropriate? I did. Did I contribute to those things? I did. I'm here to admit it because I don't think it does us any good to hide it. How many people today are posting up a fucking black square and are still racist in their day-to-day lives? Right? Isn't that the problem anyway? Aren't these fucking people camouflaged anyway? Isn't that part of the problem? The Ku Klux Klan, they have particular handshakes. They got secret words and secret codes, and they wear a hood. For what reason? To conceal their identity. People don't want other people to know that they're racist. People don't want to talk about it. People don't want to say, hey, Grandpa used to say this, Grandpa used to say that. I'm willing to say it. I'm not scared to say it. I'm also not scared to say that I voted for Donald Trump, but I'm also not a white supremacist. I'm in favor of police officers. I'm in favor of black people. I'm in favor of Mexican people. I'm in favor of all people. I'm in favor of all Americans, and even extending outside of America. Can we have compassion towards police officers while same time having compassion against minorities? I think we can. Can we have compassion for all people? Whether they're a fireman, a police officer, a nurse, a doctor. I feel for everybody in this weird, through these weird circumstances that we're all going through at the same time here. I want to say I appreciate a lot of the messages that I'm seeing out there. I think there's a lot of people that are really working on doing their best and trying to perpetuate and put out the best information possible. Do your best to decipher through the good and the bad. That's probably the hardest thing to do at this time. I heard, Kevin Hart the other day on Joe Rogan, and the values and the things that he's teaching his children. I'm on board with that. Not that he needs me to be. But I was digging it, and I was like, this guy is the dad that I want to be. This is fucking awesome stuff, the things that he's teaching his children. And if we think back to the original problem, the original thing that happened, this all comes from a lot of good values that we can learn as young children. What do you want to pass on to your kids? Do you want to pass on irrational memes that are going to live with them forever, that they think a certain race can only do something, they think a certain sex can only do something? These are irrational thoughts that need to be eradicated from our society. Again, the only way I know how to do that, I can't go up to somebody and say, hey, you can't think that way. You're not allowed to be racist. That's not what our country is about. Our country is about freedom. Freedom of speech. You're allowed to be racist. However, I think that it's time that we start to recognize that that is not helpful to the progression of this country and to the progression of the people of this country. I also understand and recognize the feelings of anger that ran through a lot of people's veins and ran through a lot of people's bodies when they saw what happened to George Floyd. And when I think about people saying they want to fight racism, I understand what they're saying, because they say the same thing about cancer. I want to fight cancer. But we're not literally beating up cancer cells, although that would be great. When we say that we want to fight something, I understand, I can empathize with how some people must have thought at that time. I felt some anger myself. I felt sick to my stomach. I felt guilty as if I did something. It just made me recognize that something bad happened. And I'm like, this is awful. And what is this going to lead to? It led all those things to go off in my head. But I think for a lot of people, all they wanted to do is run outside and punch somebody in the face. And it's not necessarily just a fight against racism. I think we need to work on solving the problem of racism, which is hatred. Hate leads to suffering, right? We heard that from Yoda. And we have to just be, and suffering is going to lead to evil atrocities happening over and over again. So the second that you're violent against somebody, I think you're not getting people to listen to you. Also, lastly, people that are, committing some of these violent crimes, and people that are looting and these various things that are going on, I think it's possible that it will have the opposite effect on changing America in the way that you want it to be changed. If you are somebody that opposes Donald Trump, you're somebody that's not for Donald Trump, you could be verifying the very thoughts that you think Donald Trump thinks about you and your people. You could also potentially be verifying the very thoughts that some of the people that may have voted for Trump feel about you in the first place. It's something to think about, something to consider. I'm just shooting from the hip, you know, so if you hate me for it, then you hate me for it. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you all later.